You know what I've noticed after years of working with pastors? Many of the most faithful pastors are also the most frustrated. I mean, think about this, and maybe this is you. You love your people, you preach with passion, you pray with power, right? But behind the scenes, you feel this kind of unrelenting pressure to be something more. Maybe you feel the pressure to be more visionary, more strategic, to be more of, quote unquote, the leader. I don't know where, but somewhere along the way, we decided that every pastor has to be a CEO. Every one of us. But here's the problem. Not every pastor is gifted to lead that way. And that is a huge tension, kind of between calling and capability, really. I think it's what's burning out so many pastors, and it might be what's keeping so many future pastors from stepping into that job. So let me remind you of something first. Paul, the author of Romans, and you know this, but here's what he said. We have different gifts, right, according to the grace given to each of us. And he says, if it is to lead, do it, and I love this word, diligently. What I love, too, is that Paul never said everyone should lead. He said if you are gifted to lead, do it diligently. That is a pretty big difference. But, of course, most pastors, right, confuse position and gifting. I think that they assume that being the lead pastor or senior pastor means that they have to also be the lead leader. So, I mean, these maybe non-leadership gifted kind of pastors spend so much of their week building vision decks that never really feel clear, managing staff meetings that feel heavy, trying to design strategies that are just draining their soul. And then when it doesn't click, then they just feel frustrated, and then they feel defective, defeated, and they begin to wonder. And maybe you've asked this question before: if I can't lead well, am I even fit for ministry? And this is really a question of alignment, and misalignment. You know what it does? It always creates pressure. So what's the fix? What do we do about this? Well, it's not to quit ministry. I mean, you might need to, but this is not the reason to. It's really more about realigning ministry around your unique gifting. Like, if you don't have the gift of leadership, right, that's not a failure. It's actually just good feedback to know. You were wired for something, and it might be something different than just leadership. And that difference really matters. I mean, you may be more shepherd or teacher or encourager. That's fantastic. Now, the church doesn't just need leaders, it needs you, and it needs all of those other giftings. So here's what kind of intentional leadership looks like when leadership isn't your primary gift. A couple of things. One, you lean into what you do best. Do not apologize for being pastoral, okay? The world needs strategists and shepherds. Lean into what you do best, how God created you uniquely. And number two, partner with people where you're not gifted. I mean, find people who love strategy, who love systems, who love organization and administration. And this is big, empower them. Trust them. You don't compete, you complete one another, which I know sounds cheesy, but it's true. You're trying to kind of create a complete team by putting individual pieces of it together. The third thing, right, you got to refine what leadership means in your context. Like maybe your role is vision and spiritual health while someone else manages operations and team alignment. That is not weakness, that's wisdom. Now, I should say, not every person should be a lead pastor, okay? I think that's important. Not every person is designed, gifted by God to be a ministry leader. You may be a leader in an organization if you're not a leader of an organization. And the issue with this is it's so easy to equate success with, enlarged territory and more budget and more people reporting to you. But that's worldly success. Okay, godly success is about faithfulness. If God has called you into a position of leadership, leverage your gifts and fill in all the gaps around you. But don't strive for leadership if you're not gifted by God to lead. Now, for those of you who do have the gift of leadership, I want to encourage you for a minute. You need to stop hiding it and pretending that it isn't a part of your gift set. Listen, you have maybe been told, right, that leadership and humility cannot coexist, that taking initiative is prideful. Listen, that is nonsense. Okay, it's nonsense. If leadership is your gift, it is not arrogance to use it. It's actually obedience to use it. I mean, let me unpack this just for a minute, okay? Leadership is one of my top spiritual gifts, and every time I take any type of personality profile, and I know we are all way more than a series of numbers and colors and letters, okay? So don't hear me saying that at all. But I am by nature a natural kind of born leader, and whether I like it or not. When I was a kid, I was in a group project or even playing as a kid. If I was the very first one to step in and lead, to organize, to orchestrate. As I got older, I learned to be a little bit more patient with it. But the second I sensed no one else wants to step up, I stepped in because God gifted me to do that. So when I was in the marketplace, this worked to my advantage. When I felt called and began to move into ministry, I wasn't even sure, this is so telling for me, I wasn't even sure that a person with my education, at that time I had a business degree and an MBA, I wasn't sure that someone with my background, marketplace leadership and working as a consultant, and I think maybe more importantly, I just didn't see people who looked like me in a lot of churches, who thought like me, because I was a leader. I wasn't very good, though, at shepherding. I wasn't really very good at pastoral care. None of those things came naturally. But man, leadership, management, strategy, intentionality, planning, execution. Systems. I love that stuff. I mean, even now, when my wife needs help with a spreadsheet, I get kind of excited about that. So when I became a lead pastor, and maybe this is you too, I had so many people say to me, especially during the first 3 or 4 years, you are not like any other pastor I've ever met. Now, I took that as a compliment. I don't think they always meant it that way, but that's how I received it. And to some extent, or maybe to a large extent, that was true. I was not like most pastors because I was gifted as a leader and I leveraged that gift for the church and for the kingdom. I led. So here's the deal, right? The church desperately needs leaders who love God and people enough to bring order to the mission. If you are gifted to lead, okay, here's your assignment. Develop that gift. Like you need to keep learning, growing, stretching yourself. You need to use your influence of leadership for good. You got to bring clarity and courage to other people who do not have that leadership gift. And it's your job to multiply other leaders, not to monopolize leadership, but to multiply leadership. Listen, gifted leaders are great at leading. Gifted pastors actually pastor through leadership. Okay, the church is going to function the way God designed it to, and it's our job to discern our gift sets, our gifting, to step into roles that fit that gifting. And if we find ourselves in a place where our gifting doesn't directly align to the role, we don't leave it. We put people around us to help fill in those gaps. So here's an intentional step I think you can take, and this is for all of us. You should take an inventory of your spiritual gifts. You've probably done it, but I wonder if it's been a long time. Nothing has probably changed, but it might be a good refresher. I took one just recently in preparation for this episode, this conversation, and it came out the way it always does: leadership, wisdom, teaching. But I was very grateful to see that, and it helped me feel even more compelled again to lean into leadership. So take an inventory, a spiritual inventory gift set. Just Google it. There's hundreds of thousands of them out there that are free. And then I think you should ask yourself an honest question. Where am I operating out of my calling, and where am I operating out of just the pressure of the role, the job? I mean, are there places in your job description? And again, none of us are going to have a job description that is 100% in our gift set, probably. But if you're a pastor, you're a ministry leader, you work at a church, what is your gifting, and how does that align with your current role, your current job? It's an important question to wrestle to the ground. And, when you answer it, to have the courage to do something about it. Maybe to shift into a different role. Maybe to grow a little bit more and surround yourselves with some people who can fill in some gaps that you are not gifted naturally to fill in that role. I mean, you can restructure your team, like I said, reframe your role. I did that. I mean, I talked about how I'm a more natural leader and strategist than a pastor. So when I first became a lead pastor, I mean, the first month I was there, I had to do a funeral, and I had never done that before. And I did my best to do a good job, but that was not my natural skill set. As soon as I could, I surrounded myself with some great volunteers who are so compassionate and caring and pastoral. And not only did it help take some of that pressure off of me, it helped me learn how to do that a little better. Now, I've been in ministry for over 20 years. Am I the most shepherding, pastoral? Am I the person you want doing, at the bedside in the hospital? I mean, more so than I used to be, but not as much as a lot of you. And that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So I just learned to surround myself to fill in the gaps. You can do the same thing. Remember, the goal of your job, lead pastor, ministry director, pastor, it doesn't matter. The goal is not to do everything. It's to do your thing, to do it faithfully, humbly, and with great, great intention. And when you pastor kind of from your gifts, pressure really begins to lift. Maybe you've sensed that before. And when leaders lead with diligence and humility, man, the whole body of Christ moves forward. Hey, as we wrap up, if this conversation resonates with you at all, I'd love for you to join me for one of our ministry strategy sessions. These are 1 hour, completely free, by the way, no strings attached. We just have a conversation around one topic for 1 hour. I do these every month. Go to gavinadams.com and you can look up ministry strategy sessions there under insights and services. Or I also do leadership labs. Those are deeper dives where we talk about specific topics, but we go deep. Think like a course. We're going to get into the lab together, experiment some, and learn a lot. So if you're a growth-minded pastor and you are looking to, align some structure and strategy and gifting, I'd love to help you do that, because I want to see you maximize the mission of your local church and maximize the potential of where God has placed you.